Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another GEG APAC monthly event. And for tonight's episode, we will have gamification in education. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce everyone. Good evening, Nate. Good evening, Steve, Tuko, and James. Can you say hi to everyone first?
Mhm.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi,
So
everyone.
it's
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Great. So I'm excited for tonight's episode because I haven't really implemented gamification in the classroom, and I'm excited to learn from all of you. So we have James who already wrote a book about it, and I think he will give us a good news later because it's now available for free, right, James? And so we also have Nate
Correct.
who will share with us and Tuko their experiences about gamification inside the classroom. Okay, and
Mhm.
same goes with Steve. So what? Maybe you can start with Nate. Nate, go ahead.
Well, first, I guess these are introductions, but I'm Nate, GEG
Yeah.
Nagoya. Lots of Google stuff going down the pipes and that kind of thing. But what I do want to say is pay attention to Takuo because we're nominating him to be a Google Educator Group leader for Nagoya, along with another interesting person and great creative teacher and innovative teacher named Osama-san, who will be joining us soon. So that's why you see Takuo with the GG Nagoya label there on his name. So anyway, I'm looking forward tonight. I'm going to talk about Flippity, but I think I'm kind of in the middle. Maybe Steve, you can go next.
For self-introduction. Yep. My name is Steve McGuire. I've been in Japan quite a while. I'm a relatively comparative newcomer to Google, to all these other experts around here, and I'm not an expert in gamification, but I think I have a perspective that I hope will contribute to tonight's talk.
Mhm. Well, hello. I'm Tako Nakagawa. I'm a high school teacher in Japan. I'm a little bit nervous now, but maybe please excuse my poor English.
No worries.
Your English is
Okay,
great,
and
man.
James.
We get dinner
Yeah, no
together. It's
problem.
great.
Hello, I'm James, and I'm the only person not in Japan right now. I'm in Kuala Lumpur, and I wrote the gamified classroom, and I am here. Oh yeah, Gary's not in Japan either. Come to think of it, in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Um, good point. I wrote the book on it, and I'm happy to share. And there's good news at the end because we have got a book giveaway, so that's going to be very exciting. I meant only
Great.
presenter, by the way, Gary. You're the host.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for the great introduction. I'm excited because I haven't really uh, implemented gamification. So I'd like to know when you say gamification, is it all just game? And I because I thought this is a waste of time entertaining kids. But what happens after you engage the student? What's comes after you get the interest of the students? Can you tell us some more about gamification? So let's start with Nate.
Well, you know what? Remember, we were thinking, and maybe we could have a chat about gamification at the end of the session. But
Okay.
just to put it very quickly, um, and we can have everyone give a quick, note here. But gamification, the idea of games, might make teachers think like, oh, they're just playing. But remember,
Yeah.
we learn from playing, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
become a
Yes.
better
Yes.
soccer player by playing soccer, right? Not
Hmm.
reading about
Hmm.
it. So I think there's an important place for gamification and gaming in classrooms. I'm going to share something with you later. Everybody will that will prove it.
That's good to know. Okay. So, Steve, would you like to add some more, just a little, before we had the presentation later, in a while?
Just that there are a lot of definitions on what games are, and sometimes it's
Mhm.
just another way of using. I think Takuo is going to be sharing some of the things he did, that it's just using things in a slightly different way that makes the students interact, and it can be a game, it could be competition, it could be self competition. And so gamification is a really and James will probably tell us
Broad.
later, it's a really big umbrella that covers quite a wide range.
Okay. So Takuo, is it right to say that there's really no standard when we say gamification?
Well, yeah, the key, yeah, really, kids are really into the kind of game, and I think the key is we we can share, we can show the every daily classes have much fun, and then if we get the kind of gamification into our classes, it'll be much more fun for the students. I think it's also key.
Okay, thanks, Takuo. So James, I know you wrote a book, and maybe you can share with us later. How did you start with everything with gamification, and how what are the things that we need to consider when we
Yeah, I mean,
implement
I
one?
think that there are a couple of things. That there is starting to be a body of evidence on this, and there are two concepts. There is gamification, which is basically learning from video games, and I'll talk about that in a bit
Mhm.
more. And there's something else called game-based learning, and they're two very different concepts, but they both engage students. One is about taking video games and using them in lessons. The other is about learning from what motivates people in video games and using those concepts and ideas in lessons. So for me, when I talk about gamification, I'm talking about learning from Sony, from Nintendo, who are experts in this, and bringing it into your lessons. But that doesn't mean the game, your lesson is a game. It means you're taking some of those ideas from games and putting them into your lesson to engage and motivate.
Okay, thanks, James. So for those who are watching us right now, please make sure to type in your questions in the comments area. Okay, so let's get started.
All right,
Uh,
so I believe with our list here, we were going to begin with Steve, I think, or was it
Oh,
Takuo? Thanks, Steve. Right?
I can start if you like. Let me share
yes.
my window.
Or
Then
was it
let's
me? I
see.
can't really remember.
Oh well, I'll go 5 minutes. Let's see. What I wanted to focus. I know James is the expert, I'm not. I haven't used. Oops, sharing is unavailable at this time. Please try again
Yep,
later.
we're
Oh,
sharing right now. Hold on one sec. There you go. We can see you.
Okay.
there. Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, and I'm going to zip through this really fast. The name of the program that I'm looking at is called Words and Monsters, and I didn't know anything about gamification, but I am interested in cooperative learning, and I am interested in um, vocabulary. So this is a program that does a little bit of both, and I wanted to look at cooperative learning in terms of gamification. So next slide, please. Can you forward for me, please? Next slide. Is it me? Is it working?
Actually, yeah, you're sharing your screen, I think. I'm not sure whose screen is.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yep, you're good to go.
There we go. The approach to cooperative learning I'm using is called learning together, and there are 5 elements that they say are important for a cooperative lesson. And they like jokes. The brothers Johnson, David and Roger Johnson, like pigs jokes. So it's positive independence, individual accountability, group processing, social skills, and face-to-face promotive interaction. I just want to cover those really, really, really lightning fast. At the end of my slide deck, which I'll share, is a list of all the links to my slide deck and all the things that I'm talking about. Positive interdependence is that students need to work together to do a task. Everyone sinks or swims together. And in terms of gaming, positive interdependence might be creating teams, jigsaw preparation, and learning what you're going to be using in the game, or sharing resources. Individual accountability is everyone needs to be responsible for learning the material, right? No coasting. And individual accountability in games could be like running. I really like the idea that runners try to beat their own time. So reaching your individual goals could be a team goal, everyone reaching their own goals. How they perform during the game and performing on other tasks after the game, right? Some kids don't like competition, so competing against themselves is sometimes easier for many kids. Group processing is, just because they're doing pig's face, group processing is talking about how will they use the social skills, which comes next. So kids don't necessarily know how to work together, They need to learn how to work as a group. But group processing can be evaluating social skills, asking follow-up questions, checking comprehension, talking about fair play, were they good sports? And here's the social skills, and they can be encouraging participation, giving positive feedback, talking about how to do better. And then the big one that doesn't work so well online is face-to-face promotive interaction, which is kids are supposed to be face-to-face and eye-to-eye, which is hard to do in teams online. So I was thinking about that. You can do chats, you can do group identity, you can do in the classroom sitting together in groups. So the other thing, I have some links here. Because I don't know anything about gamification, I looked for other information online. So this is from Got Tech Ed. They had a session on strategies for bringing gamification into the classroom. Here's a website, a Padlet with lots of stuff about games. Here's Shake Up Learning. Long time ago had a thing about classroom. Please let me know when I'm getting too close to time. And here's the Words and Monsters. So I just wanted to show really briefly, and you can look at this more slowly when you have time. But the nice thing is it gives students it's a game, it's competition, they have badges, they have their level, their rank, they get points, they get awards, there's a mailbox, and you can create groups. And you can have inter-competition from students randomly at their own level or with a set of teams. They get progress. Oh, good, that English is okay. They can check their study progress. They can get an idea of what their level is. And I said before, they can work random groups somewhere logged on, or they can be assigned groups or solo battles. The gameplay is timed. And it's just choosing the right word, either the word that you hear or a word like the closest word to tutorial is a period of instruction. Okay, and so they get points for doing it fast. Here's the listening task. And then they get to choose their reward. So there's a game element to it. And they get a study report. And the thing that I really liked is you can have the teacher, I'm going to skip the board, where the teacher can create groups. So I created groups, for example, my Tuesday 3 class, I could have groups where they work together and compete against each other. And it's very easy to create a group code that the students can use to log in. And so that makes it easy to manage. And the teacher can check the groups, progress, individual progress. You can output spreadsheets, I think. I'm talking out of my hat because I'm not sure about that part. But you get an idea here what the whole class is doing. So Words and Monsters is just a game. I don't know if it qualifies as gamification, but you can set individual and team goals for individuals and team success. And you can have random competition for fun and learning, or just for a filler for when you have extra class time. And again, at the end of this link, there is a QR code to a one-tab web page that has all the links, or you can copy from this. And I'm done.
Thanks, Steve, for the sharing. So these are positive independence, individual accountability. These are life lessons like group processing, working together. It builds team camaraderie, and they need to know how to deal with others. So cooperations, it will enhance their social skills basically when you do gamification inside the classroom. That's good to know because I thought they were just playing games. That was my first
That's
impression
right.
when I heard gamification. So thank you for that.
Me too. Me too. And that's why I think there's a lot more to that than just
Yes,
putting them
there's
in
a
the
lot more to
games.
that.
Yep.
So I'm excited to know more. And let's call, thanks, Steve. Let's call now Takuo to share with us deeply more about gamification. So take it away, Takuo.
Okay. Can I share my screen?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Is my screen on?
Yes, we can see you now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'd like to introduce just tiny tips to bring your daily classes a little more fun. Well, the moment some students look bored, actually, it's harder for the teachers. Since my subjects are history and political economy, there are some terms that students really need to know. When the teacher's commentary continues, the students have this look on their faces. The reason for this is, for me, it's obvious. At this point, the students are just passively listening to the explanations and have absolutely no perspective on what the outcome will be. Frankly speaking, if they don't see any relevance, explaining the feudal system to the students who are not interested in history will be nothing but a sleeping spell. So now let's turn it over. Turn boring learning time into exciting and creative time with PowerPoint and Google Slide and Keynote. These apps turn the time of just memorizing terms into a fun time of creating quizzes. Let's see it. Well, this is a sample quiz from Japanese folklore, Momotaro. So Momotaro is a man who was born from a peach. After he grew up, he killed a demon with his fellows. So now I choose a question which of these is not one of the Momotaro's fellows. Well, when you choose correct answer, show what comes. And incorrect answers. Okay, like this. So you can switch these contents to the things your students have learned, and they can share each other's work and relearn it over and over and again while having fun playing. Well, this trick is very simple. Just put a link to the object that the solver taps. The first step is to create a slide with a question and the correct and incorrect answers. Then set a link to the correct answer slide for the correct object and the slide to the incorrect answer link for the incorrect object. Finally, download the audio data from the free material web page and paste it onto the slide to complete the presentation. All my students use iPad, so now I'm using Keynote on it, but you can do the same things on Google Slide or PowerPoint. The teacher can create these quiz apps, but it will be more effective if the students create them. I strongly recommend it. The process of creating something stimulates a person's creativity and can be very creative and fun. It is an exciting time for the students to create simple games that not only quizzes them on what they have learned, but also incorporates simple programming elements. Students will think and invent how to make the quiz game more attractive. This will help them to design the work from the perspective of others and to hone their sense of beauty, creating effects that go beyond mere academic learning. I'd like to share with you a piece that a junior high school student created in my class 2 years ago. His work was created with a vertical screen, and that was designed for iPad or smartphones. I like that one. And tap here, you can start. And then you can choose it. If you choose the correct answer, you can go on. And then now still you can choose the correct answer. Then you can pass it. You can pass this game. And if you choose incorrect one, or like that. Well, isn't it amazing? The students really seem to enjoy working on their projects. Their skills and ideas are far beyond my expectations. Such kind of things could not have been achieved in a teacher-centered class, I think. By incorporating the elements of games into the classroom, students can take control of their own learning. I think gamification is one way to achieve student-centered learning. That's all for me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Takuo. I agree with you that it's especially it's difficult to engage students when we are boring, when they are not challenged, or not they are not simply interested. It's good to know also that you can use slides, PowerPoint or Keynote, to give feedback, as long as you design it properly, wherein you don't use your slide or Keynote or PowerPoint sequentially. So making use of hyperlinks can make it more interactive. You can use it for games. It's all in our creativity as educators to design our slides very well. So as mentioned, in the comments, there are very few games that will match our learning objectives. So maybe it's better maybe it's good to start with gamification using slides, PowerPoint, or Keynote.
Yeah,
Thank you,
definitely.
Takuo.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
So I'm excited. We have Nate here to talk about more about gamification. So Nate, take it away.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. What I'm going to do is mute you and then share my screen. I never want to mute you, of course, but for the sake of this, tell you what, let me share. Well, yeah, I got to do that first anyway. I'm going to introduce everyone a tool called Flippity, and you may or may not have heard of this. And I'm going to share my whole screen because I'm going to be sharing the actual tool. So this, I don't know who actually created this. I haven't done the research into it, but it's called flippity.net, and I'll throw the link in for you a little bit later. And I think I have a tutorial on how to use it, so I'll put that from YouTube in there as well. But to show you what it is first, is that essentially it's a whole bunch of different activities that students and teachers can use, for the classroom. Some are games, some are other things. But I want to show you that there's a wide range of options you have. Now, this is built through Google Sheets, and we'll do a very quick demo so you can see how it works. But I want to show you first how I use it in my classroom. So now, I honestly do prefer, say, Quizlet or Quizzes, for flashcards. But you can use flashcards for this kind of thing, right? Hunter-gatherer. And so students can kind of test their knowledge working on their own, or even as a teacher at the beginning of a class when you're reviewing something you did before. Hey, everyone, remember yesterday we talked about kinship. What did it mean? What is kinship? And then they can talk, and then, as you're projecting this, of course, and then they can go back and practice on their own. They also have timelines. Now, this isn't really a game, but I do want to point out that they have other things that you can create. You can even put pictures and videos in here. This is for my grade 12 class before exams, so I kept it kind of simple. But things students can do in terms of gaming, they can test themselves. Steve said earlier, hey, students might want to challenge themselves. So what they could do with the timeline is, sit on a bus or in the car when they don't want to talk to their parents and kind of go, the 4-power treaty. What was that again? Oh, I think it was this, and then check, right? Not really a game, but you can encourage students to use it as a game to test their knowledge. Now, this one I really like. They call it a scavenger hunt with Flippity, but essentially it's a vocabulary activity, and they have to break out. So, for example, if I click on number 1, people believe this was used to clear an area before a black mass. All right, what was it? No. Maybe it's, well, I can't spell properly. What? There, it's brooms. I had to change this, though. This was used, broom or brooms. It has to be perfect. You can change things so that you can create hints, for example, right? What vegetable was used for jack-o'-lanterns in the old Irish folktale? No, turnips. Okay, so, you've got to use, what's the word in English here? Actually, going to Sudipta to get myself out of that little hole there. Here's an activity where students could practice vocabulary, and it's kind of fun. Can you break out, right? I shouldn't have those in there as multiples, but anyway. This is my favorite one. I use this usually for a class activity, but it is gamification, and it's just like a Jeopardy quiz show. They call it quiz show in Flippity. And what I do is break the students into 4 teams, and I allow them to work together to give an answer to whatever it is. So team 1 might say, okay, give me bias for 100. having a preference for one thing over another in a way that's unfair. And then they come up with their idea and they give an answer. And if they did give the answer biased, then you just go, yes, team one, that's correct. And you hear the little buzzing or the bells go off. Maybe you do or do not hear that. And then so the next group goes, ideas for 200, a judgment form about something not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. It's an opinion. If they got it wrong, then I go, team two, you got it wrong. I'm sorry. And it does minus points and things like that. So it is kind of fun. And my students do get into this. They do use, for example, the unlocking game to practice vocabulary. It's just a little bit different. And we do this one, the quiz show, as a class. So it's a lot of fun. So I very quickly want to bring you back to the Flippity website and show you, and plurals. Why did plurals not come into my mind? When we were doing this, I'm like, yeah, add the S, it's plurals. Somebody that was raised speaking English doesn't necessarily really understand the English language, right? So let's quickly look at this one, because I think this is kind of fun. Now, you'll notice here they've got a demo, right? So they got a demo, or they have instructions. So you can click and then you can use the demo. Actually, I'll go back because I just kind of gave you a demo, but all of these are built with Google Sheets, and they have instructions here on how to use it. Now, I have a tutorial I'll share with how to do it, but very quickly, all you have to do is go here to make a copy of this template. All right, so I'm going to make a copy of the template. I click on it. It forces you to make a copy. I'm going to make a copy. And it's taking a bit of time to load, probably because I have too many things plugged in here, but that's okay. And all I have to do is change the clue. So I'll go, why is Gary awesome? And I'm going to take out the D. See, I don't even know the English language. I can't even spell. Look at that. Why is Gary awesome? And I'm going to change this to, he just is the nicest, smartest dude ever. Absolutely love Gary. I have a man crush on Gary. And the answer would be, well, in this case, it's going to be Gary. So here's the thing. All you have to do then is go down to the bottom where it says get the link here. And before that, you want to go to File and then click Publish. Where am I at here? Let me go back to this main tab. Go to File. For some reason, it's not allowing me to publish it. Anyway, it does come up and it says publish. Boy, I'm bombing on this one, aren't I? It should give you an option to publish. Maybe because I've got two accounts open up. Be careful. Don't have two accounts open up. But once you do that, then you're going to click this link. And that's the link that you're going to share with people. Now, this is not published to the web. But again, open only one account. That's probably going to lead to less problems. I'm going to leave it at that, though. You get the idea of Flippity. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're giving the rest of the time to James here. I am going to bring Gary back into the conversation, though. But Flippity is a very, very cool tool. There's lots of things you can do with it, games or just things to test your knowledge. So, Gary.
Thanks, Nate. I have heard Flippity from James, but I haven't really used it because there are so many options online. It's a good thing that you have gave us a demonstration, because now I know how to use it, and it's very easy to create. Since all teachers are very busy, checking students' work. So since it's created in Google Sheets and it's very easy to create using that one, make sure to share with us the link in the comments area.
I'll share the link and I'll share a tutorial video that I have. It's very easy to use, everyone. It really, really is. I shouldn't have had two accounts open. That's why we couldn't publish them, certainly.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's pass it on.
Good example for English, and really in real life, it's time pressured, right? So especially in math, they need to time the students. So it's applied in real life. There's a limit for everything. Thanks,
you can do
Nate,
this with
for
any subject. Yeah.
Thanks for the
Bring it
great
on, James, and bring
sharing.
myself out.
Yes, let's bring on James. James, I'm excited to hear what you're
Hello,
going to
it's
share
nice
with
to see
us.
you. And I want you to stay with me, okay? I am not going to
Okay.
mute you. Let's have a proper conversation, make it interesting.
Okay.
And let's begin by rolling the video. Can you see the video? Let's roll that video.
Not yet.
It should
Let's share
be
the
at the
video.
bottom. That's it.
Loading. Yes, we
The
can
other
see
one.
your.
The other one, Gary.
Okay. Uh-huh. Let's wait for Nate. Nate, kindly share
There
the
should
video.
be video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It's
I think
okay.
we might push our luck.
Yeah. Anyway, James,
Okay.
I always stop when I caught my son playing video games. I always
Yes.
ask him to stop playing games because I don't
Yes.
know if the game if he's playing is you know, just a game that he will learn something or not.
Mm,
So
yeah.
tell
I
me
mean,
more
that
about
video,
video
don't worry about
games.
it. It is available on YouTube. I think that's a technical glitch going on from our
Yeah.
side. So
Yeah.
we'll get started. Can we share my actual screen this time? I thought it was
The first
cool.
one.
You could hear a video, but apparently not quite so much. And really, the idea of gamification, and I think this is where we're going to get interesting, is firstly, you've got to learn from the mistakes of others. I've made a lot of mistakes doing this, which is why I wrote the book. It is not just about every success, it's also about the things I've done wrong and where those things have gone against me. So I think that is important. And we've already mentioned this a little bit about gamification. What is it and what is it not? Well, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not about the children playing games. Absolutely not. Okay? No, it's about the teachers playing games and learning from video games. So those things that motivate your children to play video games, why don't we use them to actually use in their learning? And that is really important, okay? Because we should obviously be trying to motivate our students in every way. And there are a lot of elements of gamification, of which you've seen quite a few tonight. So teachers learn from video games and put elements from gaming into their lessons. And I think that's a really important definition and one that differentiates game-based learning from gamification. The best game-based learning by far is Minecraft. Okay, Minecraft is a fantastic product, and it is probably the closest thing we've got to an educational game. That's a real game. You know, there are other examples that are useful, but are with very strong examples. For example, Call of Duty, it does teach you about World War II, but it is an 18 rated game, so there's going to be limited students you're going to be able to expose it to. Assassin's Creed can teach you about Egypt or Greece in their educational version, but again, that's a very limited subset of something that's going on. So that's why we're doing gamification. So what is the best description? Gamification is the use of game elements in any context that is non game related, usually by providing rewards and by fostering user interaction with the learning material. This is all about motivation.
Yeah. Okay.
And, we have various surveys, but bottom line is most students are well in favor of using it. And these are some of the things that they would want done. Also, it's about trying to get that learning curve just right. Too hard, it's frustration. Too easy, and it's boredom. It's about that Goldilocks. Not too hard, not too cold, just right, getting that flow. And gamification has got some tools to help you do that. So, what is it good for and what is it not good for? I did promise I would tell you my mistakes as well. Well, it's useful for encouraging people to do chores. Okay, very important that. We don't need gamification if the kids want to do it anyway. There's no need. Okay, if they're already in, it's fine. But if this is something that's good for you, like, did you do enough exercise today? Gamification is a good way to encourage you to do exercise. Things like the Strava app, things like running apps, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Good example of gamification. Outside of education, changing attitudes to failure. Kids die in video games all the time. They don't cry every time they die. Okay, it's a great way to build resilience. Making assessment fun. You can have another go. You can try it again. You can do it. You can play a game. You can do a quiz. Quizzes, Kahoot, Quizlet Live, those kind of things. But don't use it for creative tasks. If you're trying to create something, that's not a great time to use gamification because the motivation there is about the creativity. And obviously, don't use it for tasks that students already want to do. You don't need to gamify something if the students already want to do it. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
If they like doing their 2 times tables or they like doing their times tables and they're already doing it and they're happy doing it, there's no need to gamify it. Okay. In fact, you may do more harm than good if you gamify something they were already enjoying. And the one to be careful with, and I'll be a little bit showing this one, is any ideas, Gary, what you've got to be really careful with?
I really don't know anything, but I'm more of I want to know how
well, as I say,
make...
I would always advise people to be very wary of quizzes, Kahoots in the Gang, and the competition elements, because if one kid always wins, you've just demotivated the other 20 kids. So it's very important not to make losing. The top 5% will get motivated, the other 95% won't. Gary, have you seen in schools where they have things called star charts? Is that something you've seen in the Philippines?
Yes, for the accomplishment, yes.
Really bad practice, never do it. Okay? Because the kid who's at the top and getting all the stars, hey! The other kids are demotivated because they see that star chart and they're like, oh, Miss hates us, they don't give us any stars.
Yes.
So you need
they become sad if they never get one, right? For the entire year.
Yeah. And that's why I always recommend badges like the Scouts. Every time you make an achievement, you do it. Yeah. I'm going to come onto platforms in a minute. There's quite a few actually. I'm going to do a fairly short version. These are some of the things that work well. Levels are very important. Points, scores, real-time feedback, and activity feeds and other things, but we'll come into that later. The ones that are really useful for education are points, badges, levels, leaderboards, challenges, real-time feedback. Now, points are simple, but don't give 1 point. Give 3,000, give 1,000. Make them feel they got something decent. Yeah? Give them 50 points. I tell you what, Gary, if I say you've got 300 points, does that make you feel good?
No, because I'm only one. I was that 1% of the, or 10%.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, but it probably doesn't demotivate you. Whereas if I give you 1 point or 2 points, big numbers sound exciting. Okay.
Yeah. There are 3,000 points to get, right?
Yeah, I just made that number up. But the other thing that makes gaming fun is the law of surprise. The key aspect of fun is unpredictability. So if rewards are predictable, then eventually interest will lessen. And you need to, but the counter to that is you need to do it within a safe and consistent environment. If you make it too unpredictable and there's no cause and effect in terms of you getting a reward, then there's a problem. That's why quizzes and Kahoot give double points and things like that. A little bit of unpredictability, but not too much. And what you don't want to do is make kids just want to do things for the points. So I've heard people say, I'm a class dojo addict, which is a great system, but sometimes all they want to do is collect points and nothing else. So those are things to watch out for. Points collection is always really helpful, and Google Sheets is fantastic for this. Badges. You've just seen Flippity.net. It has a lovely little badge system. You can do it directly in Sheets with a bit of formulae. And I say we do talk about it in the book a little bit more. But also, I would strongly advise using a system that makes people feel good, a system that builds bronze, silver, gold, obsidian. So when you're marking something, particularly in English, actually, when you give it back, say it's bronze, but don't make it the end. You can get to silver, you can get to gold. I'm just giving you back. Right now it's bronze, but it can go up and up. So if you allow a number of drafts, that's a great way to encourage them to really engage with something and get it right. So levels are really powerful, but also enables you to change the thinking. It's not about, I got this, you've got everything else.
So they are not competing with others, but competing with themselves because they need
That's
to
right. They're building levels.
the,
They're going from the level one. You know, it could be spicy, it could be intermediate, it could be expert, it could be professional. Getting to those levels encourages them, challenges them to do well.
Yes.
And, you know, good old Keynote pages, Google Sites, Weebly, they're all fantastic for giving levels and allowing students to work at their own pace. Just like you were saying with slides, you can use hyperlinks. So those students that have already done the basic ones can jump straight to their level. And it's very powerful. Okay. And if you look at a challenge, one of the great things that English teachers are very good at is making the context, the story exciting. Use geometry in the turtle module to draw a rectangle and triangle. That is boring. That looks like a bad maths task. However, if you say, use the turtle module to draw the path of a drunk pirate, makes a random turn, it becomes fun. It gives it a fun context. Play with it. It's playful. That's something that, you know, you look at battleships and things like that, they look like terrible games. Snake is just a poem going around and around. These are things that really help us. And add a little variety with random challenges. Real-time feedback. Google Forms allows you to instantly give feedback. Which student will remember a test they did 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago or 3 days ago? Where at all possible, use forms, get that instant feedback, tell students what they've done right or wrong as soon as possible, because then they'll remember and they will care about it. Okay, they will know they've done wrong straight away. And, you know, there's a lot of messages and things you can do with Formule, for instance, to encourage students to keep on going. Now, a lot of what I talked about are the concepts, but here are the tools. I know that you mentioned a few. Here are some of the ready-made tools, and I'm just about for time, so I'm happy to take questions. 60 comments. Wow, there must be some comments then. Gary, you have a quick squeeze and check, see what's that. I'll leave that screen up for a minute, but we're about to give a very exciting moment.
Okay. So I just want to make a comment.
Sure.
Earlier, when you gave an example of the geometry and the turtle, it's really boring, and it challenges us teachers to be more creative, to make it to gamify our lesson.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
We are relating geometry in real life. How do you observe it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We're not very technical. We cannot be too technical when we discuss the concepts that we can see from in the real world.
That's right.
They can also see the relation of our lessons, especially geometry or math, in real life.
Absolutely. And I think giving a context The context is good, but interestingly, contexts don't have to be realistic to be motivated, you know?
Yeah.
Kids watch TV shows and cartoons that are definitely not realistic, but they find them
Yeah.
fun. So,
Yes.
you know, if you can prove that it's working, yes. So at this point, I have stopped my screen, and we are going to do the big giveaway where we're going to share the gamified classroom. I think we're going to pop the link up now, are we? Well, I am anyway. Okay, so
Please do.
unlike
We're,
most people, when we come on a TV show and say, and you could just pay $50 and get the full book, I am giving you the book free today. So
For
if you go on
free.
to Amazon and you have an Amazon account, then you can download it straight away. If you don't have an Amazon account, you can make one without a credit card. It's deliverable to most places. Japan, certainly. I think the Philippines, definitely Singapore. Unfortunately, Malaysia is a bit not quite there yet, unfortunately, with ebooks because of our laws. However, it's available in over 70 countries free today. And it is important to press the buy now book rather than read for free, because then it is yours to keep. So please do enjoy that book. And obviously in the book, I talk in more detail about all of those concepts. And I have used my time. We're at 8:46. Time to wrap it up. And jobs are good, right? First time ever you're on time?
First time ever we're on time. That's good. Where can we get them? Is it the link in the YouTube description they can click, and then that'll be it, or should we
that's
post
right.
it?
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
let's-
I can share my screen and just show you how to do that. Hang on, let me.
please do that.
Yeah, hang on. I need to share a different screen now, though.
Yeah,
Let
no,
me
one
get also the link. I know
so
I
everyone,
posted
you
it
can
earlier
go to the
today.
link in the YouTube description
Yeah.
to find James's book. But remember, click buy now because it's only
Yes.
open now,
So you click on Kindle.
Oh,
Now the chances are I've already bought it.
and you're being shared.
Okay, let's see. This will be where I probably have already bought it. Hang on. I might. Let me try. Give me a second.
Dee Dee
don't
will
know.
get the book title in just a moment for you. We'll copy and paste it.
Gamified
Mm,
Classroom. I did put the link into. I may hit the problem that I already bought it. Let's check. So
That's
hit the
okay. We're
Gamified
gonna
Classroom.
put the title in the
Yep.
chat in just a moment. I'm just copying it now.
Okay. So I'll have to hit a button. So you obviously do need an account. You need to click the Kindle edition, which apparently has already been clicked, and then you need to click buy now, which probably
Woohoo.
will. I'm surprised. I probably won't let me buy it because
Oh.
obviously, yeah. Okay. So there we go. Okay. 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 Good. I'm glad it didn't show my password. Otherwise, I'd be toasted on that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it knows I've already got it, but it let me go that far, and normally that would be fine. Then you would get it. Okay. So as soon as it does that, and then that book is yours to keep, and very happy.
Thank you so much, James, for that.
James,
one.
it's very generous of you to do that. Thank you. I know you did that
Yeah, most
for
welcome.
a workshop you gave that I attended, and that's where I got the book and got some ideas as well. So I really,
That's right. And as I say, if you do want a printed copy, obviously it does cost money for me to print it. So yes, that's the price going. But I think it's a really nice idea to get it for your professional library, particularly for a school. And you know, if you do have a Kindle, then you can have a digital copy. Works on Android, even works on the web if you've got a Chromebook. So there is a web version of Kindle for Chromebooks. Obviously Windows, Mac, the usual gang are all covered. So thank you very much. Any questions at this point? Because I think that chat seems quite active.
Yeah, we had a question earlier that what are these elements? That's what I read earlier.
Okay.
So
I think I did go through most of them, but I would now enjoy reading the book,
yeah,
where it will tell you in more detail.
All right. So earlier, if I can jump in here, Gary, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Nate.
We for everybody watching, we had a conversation privately, the five of us, about gamification. And I think it came down to the value of it, because we all agree there's value in it, which is why we're doing this. So maybe we can just have a comment from each person. The last word goes to Gary, wrapping everything up. But maybe we'll go with Steve, then Takuo, myself, James, kind of in the order that we presented. And then Gary, give your thoughts and then wrap things up for us.
Okay.
Starting with me, I learned a lot. I like the way of evaluating whether it's how to use the game, whether it's useful, what are the elements. And you listed a lot of things that were in the game the vocabulary game that I showed before, the badges and the feedback and the leaderboards. And so it's a very interesting way to approach using games if you're doing something in your classroom. So that's my takeaway.
Okay.
If you can order the printed version in Bahrain. But yeah, obviously I'm not giving away the PDF because I do have a deal going with Amazon Kindle, so please be aware of that. And I'm happy to give that, but I can't cover everybody everywhere. So there you go. But yeah, it is deliverable to Bahrain, I believe, as a printed version. There are a few countries which do not encourage the use of ebooks for various reasons.
And before we hear from Takuo, can I just add something in support of James? This is intellectual property, and people that write their own books or create their own videos or whatever, they put a lot of time and energy and effort, which is why, I've got James's book, but, I'm not copying it and printing it and sharing it because, I respect the time and the energy that he put into it. So you're given a free copy of it here, right? So, get it on your Kindle and, great to share the ideas, but let's not share intellectual property, right? Takuo, your ideas on gamification.
Well, it's very interesting to be here tonight. So, because I've thought just make my students have much more fun. Just the thing I've thought. And tonight, I have some opportunities to reconsider about the gamification into my classes. So, and sometimes we need much time to wait. Patience, because sometimes it is faster for the teachers to teach, but in that cases, it is not fun for the students. Even sometimes kills their proactive attitude, I think. But the gamification is, very huge possibilities, I think. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And myself as well. I think games are very valuable to learning concepts and strategies and things like that. Thinking about this session, it reminded me of when I was a little kid, like 10, 12, 14, 15, playing the game of Risk and learning about places in the world and geography and, strategy, really cognitive skills. What I shared today, Flippity, I do feel that, those are also a challenge to having students, think about, do I understand this concept? Do I understand, this particular word and vocabulary? I do feel that it's not just playing, it's learning. But as James pointed out, and I think everybody pointed out, it's fun, right? And there's a place in the class for using games. Not every single day, not every single lesson, of course, but there's a place for it, and learning can be fun. I'll pass it on to James.
Really, it's about if you find there are parts of your curriculum that kids are not motivated by, it's about thinking about that, improving that, and making it a good, fun way. Now, if it, I always follow the 3-line rule, okay? Number 1, why should you learn something? Because it's worth learning, it's fun, it's engaging. Number 2, it's useful, okay? Even if it's not engaging, at least it's useful. And number 3, the absolute worst reason, but the only reason left, is it's on the exam and you've got to teach it, right? Now, gamification is one of those ones that can help you definitely with number 3.
Recall.
Probably with number 2. And number one, you've already got them doing it. And that's really what it was about. And for me, gamification for coding was very much about making sure students didn't get frustrated. If you learn to code like a video game, you're not going to feel that frustration and that emotional problem, because you're going to accept that failure is a part of the deal. Too many kids give up coding because, you know, they missed a colon or didn't indent something properly, and you want to get them beyond that to find that joy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, James. I like what you said. Failure in coding, it's in my case, it's too heavy to carry, you know. But but when you do it in a gamified lesson, not very difficult to carry. Thank you, thank you. So, well, what I see, what I realize here is that we are maybe forcing our students to play if they are not interested, but we get their interest. We are able to engage them. At the same time, teaching them life lessons like cooperation, team camaraderie, and the social skills, which sometimes it's hard to teach them if we just tell them the concept. But with gamification, we let them experience it. We expose them to a controlled environment wherein they will feel neglected because they are not being heard by their group mates, or no, with this scenario that we can control, we can force them to learn this in a in these life lessons. So it's a controlled environment to learn these skills. This is what I realized in today's session. So thank you so much, James, Steve, Ko, Nate, for the sharing. Now I'm more knowledgeable about gamification, and it's now my challenge to design something that will link, or that is appropriate to my learning objectives. So
Yep.
everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to avail of the book of James, and see you next month for another GEG APAC monthly event. Bye
Good
for
night, everyone.
now.
We're going to end the
Bye-bye.
broadcast. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much. We'll leave you with Reggie and his last comment there. Gamification
Gamification
is
is
one
one
way to
way
boost
to
student engagement in the new normal. I
yeah.
like it. Thank you. Thank you, Gary,
Thank
for
you so much.
moderating tonight. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye.